let's just jump into it, as you said, Philip DeFranco style.
Yeah, Philip DeFranco. Let's just, hey, hello, you beautiful bastards. We're going to talk about
Philip
the news
DeFranco
today.
here.
Yeah, Philip DeFranco here. We're talking about the Switch 2. Let's just jump right into it. I'm so glad we didn't talk about this on the day of, because already news is outdated.
Yeah, it's insane how, like,
Hello,
much
Americans.
of a shit show this entire announcement
Like
has
that
been.
kid, you see that kid with his nose on
thing?
there?
Yeah.
He's not gonna be able to buy a Switch now.
No, no.
The pre-orders are gone.
Dude, I can't wait for people to do that meme they did with like the PlayStation 5, where they just taped a bunch of PlayStation 1s together and called them they're gonna tape like 2 Switches together and just call it Switch 2.
Yeah, you got 2 of them.
But yeah, like this entire thing has been a complete disaster. Like
Well, it was-
basically from the get-go, and it's like every time you think it can't get worse for Nintendo, it keeps getting worse.
So it was great. Like, so all of us were complaining about the price of the console, and then they were like,
A day later.
Yeah. So we're gonna go through the timeline of everything and kind of talk about our thoughts about from like the announcement up until now and where this may or may not be going, because who's to even know, man? I mean, it's insane. So like when this whole thing first started, you know, it seemed like everything was gonna go hunky-dory, smooth. We were all talking about how excited we were about what could be at the Switch Direct, which was on January. What was it? The original one was on January 16th, where they announced the console itself, what it looked like. They didn't even talk about the mouse support yet. It was it was
a
really
bunch
just
of leaks also.
it was just the snap-on magnetic and what it looks like, and then people like, oh my god, Mario Kart's gonna be coming on launch. We weren't.
Yeah, you saw that weird looking DK.
Yeah, and everyone was like, oh my god, this looks sweet. I can't wait to see. I hope all this stuff is true. And then we had to basically wait until what was it, April 2nd? That was when that Direct was gonna happen, and they had that. The Switch 1 Direct, which we talked about, which you can check out on our channel. We talked about that Switch 1 Direct, which may be the last one or not. We'll see at this point. And then like a week later, it was the Switch 2 Direct, which was on April 2nd.
Yeah.
And so that dropped, and we were all like, you know, we've been talking for like a week about like, this could be here, this port could get announced, this could get remastered. Anything's up for bargain here.
Anything can happen.
And the Switch 2 Direct went pretty well. Everybody was pretty excited about it for the most part.
For the most part, there's some asterisks there.
Also, I got
So we can talk about that.
Stuff right, by the way. I also got video game their achievements coming.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I got that right.
Nintendo's gonna have achievements for the first time, which is weird.
On your mobile phone.
I kind of don't like that.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Because I know like a lot of people like achievements or everything.
Why are
I
you
think
mad? Are you mad they're making you play Breath of the Wild again?
Well, it doesn't encourage experiencing a game for the first time. It encourages you to get everything and follow a guide.
Well, I also kind of think it's my biggest problem with like achievements and everything is that it takes you out of the immersion of the game.
Yeah, because you're looking at your phone and then back at the screen instead of just like immersing yourself in a game.
Even if like you're playing through like a serious part of the game and then like some like witty little thing pops up like
you miss it.
My daughters cry, and then it's just like your daughter gets killed in the game. It's like, oh, achievement unlocked. It's
like damn.
Yeah, it's like okay.
So like I'm curious.
Speaking of which, damn.
Yeah. So they announced like a bunch of games like Mario Kart, the new Mario Kart, which people were like, hopefully it's a launch game, which it is.
Which it is.
It's
a big launch game.
Obviously,
with a heavy price.
Obviously, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be on Switch 1 and 2, but then they also announced the new Donkey Kong 3D platformer.
Or Bazonga?
Bazonga.
Bazinga! That is unfortunate naming.
Donkey Kong Bazinga.
But yeah, they announced like that game. They announced. I'm trying to think what else was there. There was a bunch of ports. I mean, obviously we're getting like Cyberpunk 2077 on that. And it's all on the cartridge, which is cool. Unlike some other stuff.
Hey, are you saying you're not impressed the fact that they got that on the cartridge, but they couldn't get Bravely Default's
Yeah, so they announced
a
Bravely Default remaster, but like it's a download, so there's not even any point in buying the physical for it.
They'll probably have like a physical version.
I bet VGP will produce one or something.
Yeah, I bet that.
I already have the physical. It's called the 3DS.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. So like there, and then there was like I feel like was there any other like Nintendo ports? Obviously they announced the GameCube is coming to Switch Online only for Switch 2, so you'll be able to play like this game, Wind Waker. Obviously the GameCube version, not the
Wii U.
The Wii U version, which is the HD one, which removes the hunt for all the shards, which is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, the GameCube, yeah.
So it changes the game, but like you're gonna play the original version, which is still really cool. That's worthwhile. Obviously, F-Zero, hell yeah.
Yeah,
GameCube.
F-Zero,
It was one of the only GameCube games that actually supported widescreen originally.
Which is like nuts, yeah.
Yeah, so
like, made by Sakurai, like the goat.
I think, yeah.
Kirby Air Riders.
Kirby Air Ride, which we love that game, and the fact that they were getting another one, goddamn Sakurai, you freaking kept that a secret.
It was funny because he was like, "I'm not gonna be there," and then I was like, "You
liar,
Sakurai."
Yeah.
So like, I mean, overall, like, I was pretty thrilled with how the direct went. Like, for the most part, you could complain about like stuff being locked to certain features,
and they hid some stuff,
but they hid some stuff. And so the direct went
as a press release.
So the direct went well. The direct went really well for the most part.
Hit a lot of stuff.
Everybody online was like A+. This was fantastic.
For
the A to B, like, so like, and then it was fantastic. And then everyone was like, why didn't they show the price? We got the date. Why we got the date? It's pre-orders go up April 9th everywhere, and then the game launches June 5th. But where's the caveat? What is the cost of the console? What is the cost of the games? They didn't show it in the press release. And every other time that Nintendo's announced a console, they've showed the price. This is the first time they didn't. And it says a bit about whether Nintendo respects the consumer and their intelligence or not, and whether they think, oh, you're just gonna buy it. And that set a lot of people off, and the reaction to the actual listings of the price and how you could even find them was in and of itself pretty problematic. And I think a lot of people felt pretty blindsided by it, because the only way to find out what the console price was to go on Google or Twitter or wherever and be like, hey, does anybody know?
Yeah,
you know, because they didn't say.
Asking you guys during stream.
Yeah, we had no idea.
Do you know what the price is? Because I didn't see the price.
Yeah, nobody knew until like.
And then you guys linked me to a press release.
Yeah, like IGN found out about it or somebody before Nintendo even said anything, which is insane.
Yeah.
So they announced it was $450 for the standard one with just base model. Yeah. And then there was a bundle version for.
It's like $499.
Yeah, for $500 that comes with Mario Kart. However. To find out how much Mario Kart was, you had to go to the Nintendo website, scroll to the Mario Kart World page, and then scroll all the way to the bottom to find out the MSRP, which was $80.
Yeah.
90 in the UK. Everybody was saying it was 90, and that was not true. It's not $90 US, it's 80, which is still not great. But everyone was kind of like, why is Mario Kart $80? And this is the first time a game has hit $80. And everyone was like, they thought, like, everybody's been speculating that GTA 6 was going to be the game that said games are going over 70. They're going over 70.
Yeah.
And nobody thought Nintendo was going to do it first. I thought Mario Kart was going to be 70. You know, I thought that was good. Like,
yeah.
And it's weird because, like, you know, Donkey Kong Bazinga is 70. So we were like, why is this game $80? It doesn't. Besides the fact that it's gonna sell gangbusters.
Well, because it's Mario Kart, and Nintendo knows that.
They know people will buy it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. It's like, and it's that thing with the consumer. It's like, you don't care how much the price is because you're gonna buy it. And that to me is kind of
like Skyrim.
It's kind of crappy,
you know.
So
Todd Howard's like, you're gonna buy it. So.
At least that's my opinion on it. You know.
I don't know. It's.
Do you think $80 is a reasonable price for Mario Kart?
I would. Here's the thing. Like, and I have not done this too much with like Nintendo games because I've been 100% on most Nintendo games.
Yeah,
but
same.
I feel like this is kind of like the first time everyone should probably say, wait until the reviews come out, wait until someone else plays it to tell you whether it's worth $80 or not.
I've never felt that way about like some of the Nintendo first party games, because
I felt that way a lot about the Sony stuff and then the Xbox stuff, of course.
But Nintendo was never like that for us.
No, majority except for notable mentions, Pokemon Scarlet. And whatever else, Violet. I forget like the other one.
Yeah.
So. Notable exceptions there, but otherwise, usually you can just trust Nintendo to release a good product. And then,
and so this is the first time people, I think, are really questioning, like, is it worth it? Should we? And I think that's the thing is like, scalpers, we're gonna buy this console day one. They're gonna buy the stock. It'll probably sell out.
Yeah.
But once that first month of sales kind of goes by, I'm curious if the general consumer will buy into the cost of that or not.
Well,
and we're not even
going to
getting
be another Wii U.
And that's the thing is, I'm wondering is the cost going to outweigh people's desire to buy this thing, especially considering the cost of the games and the cost of the console? Because most of the people who are going to buy this into the Switch 2 don't watch the internet. They don't listen to videos like this. They go.
They're like this kid.
They go into the store. They go into.
Snot-nosed Brad.
They're drooling, being like, "Mom, Dad, buy me a Switch 2."
Before a birthday or a holiday, they like, does Timmy need this? And they look at the price and they're like, maybe not.
Maybe.
And that's the thing.
Maybe I'll get the Temu version.
So-
Maybe I'll get them a new, like a Switch 1, or they'll just get them some new games for their Switch 1, and I'll wait on that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that general consumers will decide, and that's gonna decide how successful a console is. Is it worth spending $500 on a Nintendo console when the Switch 1's already fine and it'll work for another year?
I knew a lot of people that were expecting this to be $400, and I knew it was going to be more expensive, and a lot of them were shocked.
You didn't even know how expensive this could possibly
And I was
be.
like, people like Rockstar, they're gonna be the first ones to jump it over 70. And Nintendo was like, hold my beer.
Hold my sake.
And I think a lot of developers may watch and see if Mario Kart sells well at 80, and if it does, then they'll be like, okay, well, if that did well, let's do that too.
I do love how we always love the fact that Nintendo's so innovative and they try out risky things. I don't want this type of risk.
Because
I didn't want this.
Because if it's a failure, they'll scale back the price for sure to 70.
Well, again, people are saying
to make up for the cost.
It could be this generation's 3DS, you know?
Yeah, because I mean the 3DS when it launched, it was like $250,
and I was
it sold like absolute dog shit.
I was one of the people that bought it.
Yeah,
at full price.
And it sold really bad.
I also bought it at full price.
Yeah, and not many consumers did, because they looked at it and they're like, that's too expensive for a handheld.
I saved up all summer.
So
I also think 3D is a terrible thing to try and sell like a portable console on anyway.
Because a lot of people are like, my 2DS or my DSi or DS Lite works fine. Why would I buy this? And so Nintendo freaked out because no one bought it, and they slashed it to $175, and then it sold really well.
Also, 2DS came out after.
And 2DS after that.
Yeah.
And that sold really well too.
Which is much superior. 3D, I hate 3D. I could go like a whole
It's just an application no one used because it hurts your eyes.
Yeah.
When you look at it.
I hated that thing so much.
But I think it's another thing is like if this console comes out and after the first month where the scalpers and the content creators and stuff buy it, and maybe the few people, the Nintendo fanboys and stuff like us who are more than likely still gonna buy it.
More than likely.
Then most of the people who are the average consumer are gonna look at this and they might not buy it. If that happens, Nintendo will then slash the price and do the same thing where they reward the people who probably bought it on launch.
Yeah.
Because they're like, thanks for keeping us afloat, kind of thing. So. But. That's pretty much kind of like where the news was. People were pretty pissed about the game prices. The console price, people can kind of get over it, but I think it's the software where the company makes the most money, and if people are pissed about that, that's where you get a little bit of a gray area.
Well, I mean, you need this is unlike, let's say, I don't know, Sony or Microsoft, where none of these games go to PC.
No,
so their biggest thing is selling the consoles,
and they need that software to sell well. And if people aren't going to buy
the hardware and the software,
stuff, that's bad.
It's a joint venture. If you don't have like those two working together, then and also you don't have many games that have like this whole weird ecosystem where you keep on paying into it. Like Destiny or none of those games are really on the Switch.
No.
So you don't have these ecosystems that just keep on pumping out money.
And I mean, some people might buy the console and then wait on Mario Kart because they're like, why would I buy that when Mario Kart 8 works fine?
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, I'll buy some of the new Switch 1 games, but I'll wait on that because I don't want to spend $80 on a video game.
Yeah.
They might still buy the ones that are 60 or 70, but they're just like, that $10 difference is too much for me. And that's going to be really interesting. But from that point on, that was pretty much where people were upset, and then people weren't really sure what Nintendo was going to say. And then the day after that, Nintendo had their Treehouse on April 3rd.
Yes.
And oh my god, dude. So they had the Treehouse where they showed off like more stuff about the Switch and their games and more details about it, which was all good stuff because everyone's excited about the software. But the funniest part about that live stream was the chat. And it was the thing that every news article was talking about, which was the fact that everybody was blasting, saying lower the price, change the price, it's too expensive.
DTP.
Drop the price.
Drop the price. Drop the price.
Also, I don't know if it's true, but I heard that during the waiting, like when it was starting, they played the Wii Shop channel.
Oh boy.
I don't know if that's true, because I didn't watch it. I was working at the time.
Yeah.
But if that's true, That is the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because it has to do with buying stuff.
Yeah.
So it continued the backlash and the bad press that Nintendo was getting after that really successful Direct, and then where people had to scour the internet to find out all this pricing information.
Right.
And then after they had the treehouse, the chat was just like, you guys are charging way too much and getting extremely greedy with this stuff. And people weren't sure if this was like if the console price and the game price was a Nintendo choice, if it was representative of like the market and like the production costs, which I think the game price, no, I think that was a Nintendo choice 100%. I think the console, I think it's reasonable enough.
Well, I don't know, because like their Japanese price on the console was a Nintendo choice.
Yeah,
I mean,
the console in Japan is
it's
actually,
hard.
we didn't even get into that.
It's hard to say because
Yeah.
it's only 330 USD.
to get it in Japan.
That's what I'm saying.
But they
Yeah.
they region locked it, so you can't get one from Japan unless you know Japanese.
I don't know. This seems very.
It seems
planned.
very. It seems very like.
and I think that the
planned,
part of it
yeah.
was the fact that they were trying to get around how much the production costs and the shipping costs and stuff to get it to the US and other
Yeah.
markets were compared to Japan, which is cheaper, or if they had a better deal with Vietnam, which is where they're manufacturing the console for the most part, besides I think some in China. And so
Right.
people weren't sure if like the price was like they were trying to charge more, or if it really was representative of like how much the trade costs and everything. And
We're trying to
manufacturing.
cover costs. Like,
Yeah.
this is really truly how much it costs
And
to produce this. thing.
whether if the costs go up, they don't need
Yeah.
to up the cost of the console because they already scaled it up a bit,
Well,
I
mean,
which is
let's-
interesting.
Well, let's go back to the original Switch for a second here.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember when there was a chip shortage and there wasn't any Nintendo Switches?
Yeah. There was a period of that.
There was
yeah,
a period
man.
of that,
Yeah.
and they didn't increase the price.
No,
They
did not.
maintained the same price. They just had less available at the time because they couldn't meet those
But
demands.
Sony upped the price in the UK or something, right?
Sony,
Around that time.
Sony, I think
Like
Sony
50
and
bucks?
Microsoft like up things like a little bit.
Yeah, people were pissed, but
which call was it PS4?
I think it was PS5 and Series X.
Well, PS,
Yeah.
but that would be the
No.
2020s.
Yeah, PS5 up. They upped the price for it right around then, or maybe a
Yeah.
little after. I don't remember the exact
Yeah.
date. You could,
And
but,
then also
but it's like
limited
something
supply,
like that.
but they increased the price as well.
Yeah, not in the
So-
U.S. because that's
yeah.
where it's gonna sell the most for the most
Yeah.
part. So, but they did up it in like the UK and some other markets, which
So-
people were pissed about, obviously.
So I'm kind of wondering.
yeah, it makes you wonder what the
Yeah.
decision making was behind the scenes, and Nintendo has not clarified any of this stuff yet. Why they were charging it initially, why the games are costing this much. They haven't said a single peep about it. I mean, it's like they've just let the internet react how they're going to react, which has been bad, clearly.
Yeah, okay.
But then we'll kind of go from there because, people were saying change the price. They're obviously
Well,
not going to do that.
I think Trevor has one important thing that he
Yeah.
was talking about earlier, which the prices might not get affected.
Well,
Because
yeah.
one of the big things is in 2019.
Yeah. So in 2019,
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
there
before we
was
move on.
a increase in tariffs from the Trump administration.
Yeah, back in 2019.
In 2019,
yeah.
and that would have affected the PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo
Yeah,
Switch.
all three of them. Yep.
They ended up making exemptions because all three of them wrote a joint letter
To Trump.
to Trump.
Yeah. President Trump.
And they ended up being
exempt from
exempt
it, right? Yep.
from the tariff increase.
Yes.
It was only 10%.
Yep.
It was only 10. Think about that. Only 10%.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so that was they could breathe a very brief sigh of relief.
Yes. Yeah.
But right now,
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the rest of this.
Is
So-
where things get
So
interesting.
they were exempt from those back in 2019.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was a good thing for them because that means that like the standard costs of production, shipping, manufacturing, and getting it into people's hands and onto shelves and stores, it was about where it was and where it was expected to go in
Yeah.
terms of like.
And we didn't pay more.
And the consumer didn't pay more. It meant that the companies could make money selling hardware and software without having to pay an exorbitant amount out of pocket or put it on
Yeah.
the consumer.
Yes.
And this was a good thing, and the Trump administration made that, and then it stayed in place until now. So Nintendo had announced those prices, everything, and then yesterday, which was the 4th of April, the Trump
A
administration.
day they'll go down in infamy.
yeah,
And then maybe positivity. Who
Yeah,
knows?
so they
Who knows?
announced
We'll see.
that there was essentially going to be a delay because I think the same day as the price of the console, I think was when the tariffs got announced. It was like the same day. I think it was the same
I think it was the
afternoon.
day before.
Maybe-
It was the 3rd.
Yeah, I think it was like around the same day as the announcement of like the console's like official like direct.
It was the same day.
Yeah, it was the same day because they had the direct, and then later that day, Trump announced those tariffs that are basically getting like hit in every country,
like almost
like globally.
Yeah.
And so like then like a couple days go by, and then on the 4th, which was yesterday, Nintendo announced that they were delaying all the pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 in the United States specifically. Every other market they went up and they sold out, which is to be expected. I mean, people are really excited about this console. And so they announced the delay indefinitely until they can figure out what the market change is going to require of like what the cost of this console is going to be. Yeah. But they said specifically that the console date's release of June 5th is unchanged. So they're hoping, and it seems to be the case, that they're going to be able to figure out something like in 2019, and we'll see if Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo all do kind of a similar thing with like, do your tariffs, make these like, you know, the like figure out this trade stuff going on, but like exempt
us out of it.
Exempt us and not, you know, affect the businesses that we are running, which should not really be affected by all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I think that that's fair. I'm hoping that that's the case. But people basically just kind of like the whole internet like freaked out yesterday.
Yeah.
Like lost it. And the memes were pretty funny, I will say. But it's like it's really hard to say what's gonna happen because people were, you know, like there was tons of content creators like RGT and Spawnwave and Dreamcast Guy were like, is this gonna be a $600 console now? And like I get jumping on the stressful bandwagon of like what's this gonna do. But
well, it's all very reactionary.
It's very reactionary.
Well, you could also say clickbaity.
Yeah,
well,
you could say that.
It's
and I mean,
so it's
you
one
know,
of those,
respect. You got to make money. I get it.
It's one of those things. So
I
like,
have no respect for
so, so if you think about it, if worst case scenario happens and April 9th comes, and the 46% happens,
yes,
they would have. You want to know how much they would have to charge for
It's insane.
for the Nintendo Switch 2 console alone?
Please tell me, sir.
The base model.
Yes.
$630.
No one will buy it. No one will buy it.
Ooh.
And so I'm hoping that these exemptions go through because that will keep it at a reasonable price where people would still buy it, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think if it's almost $650, no one's gonna pay for that.
No.
Nobody would.
Well, there will be the people.
Scalpers will, but no one will. No consumer will buy that. No average.
Like
consumer.
an average consumer, no.
No way.
Like the average.
People will stop buying eggs because they're too expensive.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
People are getting chickens, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Link, he needs to get some chickens, dude.
Yeah, dude. He needs to get like some pigs, he needs. We need to have a farm sim with Link. Just saying.
Yeah. So people are like, are they gonna delay the Switch in the U.S. completely? Are they gonna up the price to the whatever this might be? Are there conversations going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
And so the same day, which was yesterday, a few hours later, Trump made a statement saying that he had a quote unquote good call with I believe his name is To Lam, which is the Communist Party of Vietnam, like the leader of it, like the general secretary, saying that like they're having conversations about trying to wipe out the tariffs on Vietnam altogether,
and on our goods as well because they do tariff our goods as well.
Back and back, back and forth.
So equilibrium on trade.
So people jumped on this, freaked out, and then this happened, and we were like, well, where does this stand? And they haven't said, there's been no further updates on it, but I also think that, I guarantee you, Nintendo's in full panic mode at this point. And there's probably a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, because like, if they actually have to up the price of this console, like, they're gonna have to completely change their entire plan for this console.
Well, it's one of those things, it's like,
the marketing, everything.
Do you take the hit? Release at the price
and just eat the $200 a console,
and then you increase the game prices more to offset that.
Because I mean, to be fair, most companies lose or almost break even with the consoles. It's the software that makes the money.
Nintendo's in a unique situation where they have to sell that stuff. It's not like they're a Microsoft situation.
Yes, so Nintendo is one of the companies that they do not take losses on their Switches.
They can't.
They do not. On any ones they make.
Yeah.
And I don't see them changing.
They usually make about $20 a console or something.
Again, this is just this is unprecedented.
It's crazy.
Like on the week of a launch, dude. Like this
It's
is
insane.
This is insane.
And I mean, it's one of those things where
It's like a bad April Fool's joke.
I kind of like a part of me feels a little bad for Nintendo because it's like it's really not anything they could have done.
It's not their fault.
Not
like, per
necessarily,
se.
but like they tried to preemptively do this by moving their stuff out of China anyway. So,
Yeah, they
like,
literally moved
yeah.
their manufacturing from China, which was
Yeah.
getting hit with the worst tariffs because I think it was like them and 2 other countries.
This was in 2019.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying like you need like that much time to get like manufacturing.
So they
done
moved.
anyway.
So anticipating that trade war potentially with China, they moved their manufacturing to Vietnam, and then like the day of their direct, they were like, Vietnam's getting hit with the worst of all of them, and I was like, oh my god.
Think about how heartbreaking that is, because like they've been planning this
Years.
this day for years,
like 5
Yeah.
years.
and
Yeah.
and all of that just crumpled,
Like
a
2 seconds.
vase
Well,
falling,
like
to
or
the
like a house of
ground.
cards.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, like dominoes, man.
Yeah, like Kevin Spacey in a house of cards.
So like people are obviously like, what's gonna happen? Are they all gonna make another letter to Trump, be like, exempt us and
Please.
figure things out afterwards, but like don't affect the game industry? Because it's like stuff like this is what crashes a game industry.
I mean,
It's already been kind of going that way with the AAA industry in general, but
so
still.
the biggest difference between like this and let's say like back in the day with like Atari or something is that you don't have like the PC market like it was that many years ago or anything. You don't have indie games where it was that many years ago or anything. If this was like just like the big three, like Nintendo, Atari, and all those guys, then yeah, definitely this could be like another video game crash. But I think like the market's strong enough where it can just support this.
I hope so. Like I was watching
because they could just keep on making PS5 games.
I was watching a video Maximilian Dude did, which he's a guy who's been playing games as long as we have.
Well, he's also a huge fighting game guy.
Yeah, he's a big fighting game.
You should check out his videos. Really cool.
Yeah, and he was talking about the comparisons between everything going on right now.
Yeah.
And what consoles cost when like the N64 came out and the PS1 was coming out.
Yeah.
Because like an N64 was expensive, but it wasn't too bad. It was about like what $150 or something.
Which right now with inflation could be.
But like you know, you look at it inflation, and it's like it's about the same now.
Yeah.
But the games, like to get Killer Instinct on N64 when it came out,
Oh,
was
yeah.
like 90 USD, which
Yeah.
was like what? I don't even know.
now money.
To now money is insane.
It would have been $400
Yeah, and the
That-
game
in our
itself
time.
was like insane. Like that's expensive.
for an N64.
Like the game was almost as much as the console.
Yeah,
Just to
I
get
mean-
Killer Instinct.
Right.
And this was one of the most anticipated fighting games, which he was talking about. And then Sony was like, well, if we release a disc-based console, the game and charge like $50 or $40 for a disc or even less, we can really bring this market down. And that's
True.
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
The PlayStation came out and they released their games like $30 a piece, and people bought the shit out of it. And the N64 did not do nearly as well as the PS1 because of it. It was more affordable, and everything looked better because it was disc-based. There was more room to really increase your file sizes and make your games look better.
Yeah, and well, maybe
and-
like easier to work with too.
And it really makes you wonder, like, how long can the industry keep going up in price in terms of like the consoles and the games before, you know, people just won't buy them, you know? And that's something to think and keep in mind at least, even though like you know that might not be the case. And it's just interesting to think about the history of the video game industry and where things were going before things got more affordable.
Well, and
how
also
it's
how like it translates to today, and then trying to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah,
soon.
because
So,
it's becoming an extremely expensive hobby / luxury now to be able to afford video games and consoles.
Yeah.
You have to really save up for them, pay on them like a month at a time to be able to like buy a new console and stuff. Now I know plenty of people who do. So it's just crazy to think about where this market is.
Definitely.
So going from that, some other interesting news came out today actually about the Switch 2 that had people up in arms again. And
Nice.
I don't know if you guys had heard about it yet.
No, please.
Probably not.
Okay,
we're
so
getting surprised along
this
with you,
this
viewer.
broke I think maybe about 2 hours ago.
Okay.
So this is some good, new information. Some people have already started to cover it.
Yeah.
And it's not great.
Oh.
So the Switch 2. So do you know how they're basically going to be putting out some Switch 1 games onto the Switch 2
I've heard this.
with the ups, like basically like an upgrade patch. Essentially,
which I already hated. But
so
yes.
it makes it a Switch 1 title with better frame rates, better graphics, and maybe some additional content. And
Yeah.
they basically said you could buy the Switch 2 version of that upgraded game, or you can pay $20 to get the
To upgrade. Yeah.
I think 2 of them are included in the Switch Online, which I think is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So if you have
okay.
Switch Online,
Then you just get those
you
out.
get that
for
free.
free.
Yeah.
That's good. But
So,
however-
this is where the bad news comes in.
okay.
So people were like, okay, well, if I want to pay the $20, cool, I can do that, or
Right.
and that way I don't have to buy the game again. I can just pay $20.
Yeah.
But if there's people who were like, oh, well, I can buy the new version even though I own the old one,
Right.
and it's on the cartridge, so I can just trade in my old one and keep the Switch one, then just like get rid of the Switch 1 version and have the best version on the cartridge.
Yeah.
So somebody over in the UK asked a UK Nintendo representative
Right.
if everything's on the cartridge for the Switch 2 versions.
Right.
And the representative said that if you buy the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4,
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, and I think Kirby
Lost Kingdom?
Forgotten Land or whatever.
Yeah.
It is the Switch 1 cartridge with a download code for the upgrade.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
And Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which you can buy, like you can get it for like $40 for the Switch 1. Yeah.
Right.
They're charging $80 for the Switch 2 version that just comes with a code. And
a copy of the game.
Yeah, you don't even like they might slap the Switch 2 sticker on it, but it's literally the file
just
size.
the same game.
The file
Correct.
size is not the same.
Correct.
Like it's not on the cartridge at all. There's no reason to buy it. Just pay the $20 and get the digital copy for like the upgrade.
Ew.
Yeah, people were like, there's no reason. They're like that's just a slap in the face to physical media. Like,
I suppose so, but at the same time too, it is like a Switch game, right?
Mhm.
So I guess technically you don't have to have it like
but what's crazy is like
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4
right.
that comes with that like 4K, 120 frames per second or whatever.
Yeah.
That you have like you don't even get it on the cartridge for Switch 2.
Right.
It's literally a fucking code. It's insane.
Yeah,
dude.
so it's the Switch
Like,
1 version.
it's like every
with
time.
with a Switch 2 sticker on it, with
Right.
a code in the box that
Right.
upgrades it.
Like I know it's only like 4 games, but like to me that is like, it's like, dude.
Well-
like just manufacture everything. Like you don't need to just slap a Switch 1 cartridge in there and charge more.
Dude,
like twice
dude,
as much for
we're
Kirby,
at,
dude.
dude, we're at a point. Dude,
Oh.
they fit Cyberpunk and the DLC on the cartridge, and you're telling
Yeah,
me
64 gigs.
you
yeah.
can't fit Kirby
for-
and its DLC on the cartridge.
Well, it's like Switch 2 on the cartridge, right? Like I mean,
I think they're gonna slap the sticker on it, but I think it's literally the same cartridge, dude. I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
it can't be.
Like,
how does
dude,
that
it's-
work? How does that work?
Dude, it's the equivalent of that clip from Billy and Mandy where he's like, "Oh, I just switch all around all the stickers."
So like I know we're not gonna know for sure until like the game itself comes out and someone opens
Right.
the box and sees.
And,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna be that person. I'm not
Wow.
gonna buy it like a whole new
I'm
game.
sure there's gonna be a whole mess of social media posts about it. And
It'll be really
clickbaity
funny to
tiles
see.
along that
I already
as
own
well.
all these titles. I am not buying them again.
No. I'd rather just pay the $20
Well,
and get the upgrade or whatever.
Yeah, same.
But if unfortunately if like Metroid Prime 4 comes out and it's on the Switch 2 and the Switch 1 and the game it's like the Switch 1 version's $60 and the Switch 2 one's $70 and the upgrade's $20, like
Well, you
you're
should
gonna buy the Switch 2 one.
version.
Like
Yeah.
but like it's just like it sets a kind of a shitty precedent, It's about not having the full game on the cartridge.
Yeah.
And hoping that somebody like Video Games Plus or VGP will produce a better version, like the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game, which had the big expansion which had like all those like was it like 6 or 8 DLC packs with all those.
all like bundled together.
So
Bundled
with
together.
that game, it came out and then you had to pay for the upgrade, or if you have Switch Online, you get that for free.
Yeah.
But it's not on the cartridge. VGP produced a cartridge of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which has the DLC all on the cart. It's the only place you can get it. It's worth the price if you want to own that stuff forever and not lose it at some point in the future.
And not depend on Nintendo not closing down like a shop or something.
And it's great that companies like that are working with publishers, especially big ones, to do stuff like that. And hopefully that ends up being the case with some of these titles that are going to only get a free upgrade that you're not even going to be able to own.
Maybe
'Cause-
VGP does like the exclusive ones where they're all on the cartridge.
Because think
Well,
about
maybe,
this.
yeah.
Think about this. If somebody trades in like I don't know, Kirby on Switch 2 to GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
You only get the standard one.
Well, because
it
you don't
doesn't
have the digital code.
Because the code's already been redeemed.
Yeah,
So maybe
so you have to rebuy the.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the PS3 era where they had the online passes.
Right.
And then when you bought the game and the online pass was used, you had to go on the PlayStation Store or 360 and like pay for the pass that you didn't get because you bought it pre-owned.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You don't really like get to have the full experience getting it pre-owned, which is kind of crappy. But I also like it's like you didn't buy it new, so you're kind of eating the loss there.
Well, I mean, like every year and every new generation of like consoles or whatever, they're kind of always shying away from resale of games.
Yes.
And they're giving more and more reasons not to have like a disc or have like something that you can give to a friend or share with a friend.
But it's funny because like I think Nintendo's the only console where if you go on their website and look up where to get retro, games of theirs, they say go to like a mom and pop shop or a local store and look and see if you can find a copy of an older title that is not available on their consoles. They're the only ones that tell you to go check them out and try to find older titles.
Yeah, everyone else is just like, well, we might remake it.
Yeah, they're like, Nintendo's always been kind of like cool about people like hunting down, even not, Nintendo's not going to make the money, but to like search out and buy pre-owned copies of their games to play
from like shops and everything.
Yeah, because if you play their older titles and then a new one comes out, you'll have played it.
Yeah, exactly.
But like to see them almost be like, yeah, screw buying it pre-owned. You only get the full experience if you buy it brand new. Is kind of like, huh. That's an interesting choice.
Well, it sets a new precedent that I don't think anyone's gonna like per se. So
yeah, and I think Boundary Break even said something about like this whole situation where he was like, people like Nintendo's kind of making a weird choice of like charging so much for this console when like they're charging for less in Japan.
Yeah,
and it's like, are they doing it because of the difference in production, or are they just greedy and I don't know. This whole situation just like
it's a mess.
People don't know what to think,
and the worst part is
there's no clarification.
I've gotten more of like we've kind of talked about it. I've gotten more fine with them charging whatever for Japan because I would.
It's their home market.
Yeah, I would also hope like if there was like an American company that was like here and they kind of said like we want our American consumers to pay like what it's worth, like to like $1, and we were in a similar situation.
Yeah,
that they would do that for us too.
Well, the U.S. dollar is also much stronger than the yen.
And I'm fine with that. I'm just saying if it was a similar situation where our dollar was like polished down there and there was like a U.S. company, Microsoft, that could like be that kind to their own like consumer base where they're from, then I would hope that'd be a thing. I like Nintendo for that because that seems like I don't know patriotic. I don't know what to say about it.
Because I think it's a good it's a good that to some degree because like they want their people in their home market to be able to afford the console, but I think they have to be careful outside their own market because again they make so much money off of like the UK and the American market,
especially the US
and China, where it's like you really have to be careful because if you charge too much, you really scale out the market where people won't buy it, and that's what happened, back in the 90s and earlier. Until Sony came along and lowered the market to be like, you want people
adopting like a new way to cheapen like the prices there.
And I think that we're getting to a point where you're gonna because people, when you hit a certain cap where people can't even buy it, that's when you start to be like, okay, well, what's the point of even getting a console anymore?
Well, just to sidetrack a little bit, I want to rant just for a second. 10 seconds here.
Yeah.
Why are digital games the same price as box games?
Couldn't agree more. You should be paying less because there's less production.
Yes.
You're not paying for plastic or the manufacturing of a disc or cartridge.
Screw all these companies.
The digital version should be $10 minimum cheaper, in my opinion.
I agree.
I couldn't agree more because, and I think
screw these guys.
Does Nintendo charge the same on digital as it does physical?
Oh yeah,
they
all do.
That's ridiculous.
And the funniest part is
so stupid.
Guess which versions get cheaper first?
Oh, the physical.
The physical.
Yeah. And that's where
it's not like they can't flick a switch on the digital store and like have these be much cheaper.
This is why I think that like if consoles stop being physically like you can't buy physical games, I'll just go to PC only, or like get a Steam Deck or something. Because like it's like if you can't own your games or go into a store and get a pre-owned copy for cheaper, like it's just like you're kind of killing the industry because like I don't think you should be able to just buy only digital and then not ever own your games. There is a lot of games where it's like you only get like half the game on the cartridge or the disc, and the rest of the downloads don't even really own it, because if the servers go down, you can't play your game you own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like movies. I don't want to just have like a streaming service and then my movies are just on the streaming service. I want to own a physical version of the movie so I have it forever.
Yeah. If at all possible, that's like it's like if like I can only get the game digital and no one ever produced a physical, like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But like if there's an option there, that should be an option.
Well, again, like the game we're watching on the screen right now, Wind Waker. You know, like you have to pay $450 to play it on a modern hardware, and I happily own it on GameCube and Wii U, and I can play those anytime I want.
Yeah.
And obviously, you can emulate it if you want.
Yeah.
Like that's an option, but
don't let Nintendo hear you.
But
say
obviously
that.
don't. But I again.
Whatever, they're charging $700.
but dude. But again,
emulate every game.
Again, but again,
really,
I own both versions of this game.
Yeah.
And for me, like I love that this is going to be playable for people.
But
it's just
so much money.
But Mario Kart at $80, man.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
That's a great question. What are we doing?
Well, and aren't they going to be having like another showcase about Mario Kart sometime soon?
Great.
Oh, more time for people to complain in chat.
Please explain to me why you're charging $80 for this game, because I genuinely don't understand.
Like this thing.
Besides the fact that people are going to buy it because it's Mario Kart.
This thing better buy people dinner first.
Yeah, it's better.
Like this better be the finest dine.
I mean, to be fair,
the internet has ever seen.
To be fair, most people pay $120 to play Call of Duty a day early. So, what are we really doing?
Well, people aren't smart. That's true. I agree.
What are we doing?
More like Jedi Outlaws, $160.
There are people
dude.
There are people that still buy Madden. What are you doing?
Well,
like, what are you? It's the same game as last year.
I mean, get back to like the Nintendo Switch 2 Directs and everything. How excited were you when they announced Madden on Switch?
I couldn't care less.
I know.
What do you mean? But yeah, this whole entire situation is a complete mess, and it's been interesting to see how this stuff is all unfolded. And I guarantee you, the second we finish recording this, something else is gonna happen.
Well, probably because it's an
like,
it's an ever-changing situation that is very fluid right now. So
just wait.
Yeah.
Next week, PS5 and Xbox are gonna go up like $100. Physical.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm trying to be hopeful here.
Glad we bought it early.
I'm like praying to God, because I'm glad I got my PS5 before all this stuff. Like,
who cares about Xbox?
Like, I just genuinely hope that like some deal gets made or some news comes out where like they're gonna be exempt, and this whole situation will be like a lost memory. Like, I just genuinely just want everything to be at least like...
It'll be like a little weird spot in history.
The fact that I'm just like, keeping it 415, 500 is bad, dude. It's bad.
Like, dude...
Like, don't go up the amount of people...
Maybe this was the plan all along. He talked to Trump, like, talk about the tariffs.
Like, this will convince him to get
We'll make them yearn for the 450 days.
Like, again, I've been waiting for this console for like a year or two. And I'm bummed. I'm super bummed.
Michael was like so upset about this whole situation. Understandably, a lot of people are.
Well, how long has the Switch been like in running right now? It's been like over 10 years.
I mean,
the Switch One,
almost 9. Almost 9.
And how long? Because that's a long time.
Like,
well, I don't know about how long that is for like a console's lifetime. You know what I mean?
And I mean, this is the thing too. Is like if I don't think that they're gonna delay the release of this. I think it's just gonna be one of those things like they may have to eat some damage here or something if there's no exemption.
I would delay if I were them. I would delay for like a year or something.
But the thing is like if the cost of this stays where like it's expected to and there's no exemption for the game industry, I think Sony and Microsoft are going to delay their next generation for at least another year or two, depending.
They probably should anyway, because they could probably make more PS5 games anyway.
I mean, like you think about like the 360 and PS3 era, like, you know, which happened around the 2008 housing market crisis, which you know, I remember when that happened.
2006,
The PS3 and Xbox 360 and like Wii life cycles got extended because they knew no one could afford a new console, so they were like, well, we'll let
not viable at the time.
Yeah, so they were like, let's let the tech advance and let's just keep making software for consoles and lower the price of the consoles over time.
Yes.
And this might be one of the situations where Nintendo might be kind of screwed, to be honest, because like this couldn't have come at a worse time for them. But like
no, it's like almost comedic how this time.
Yeah, but Sony and Microsoft have some time to really react to this a bit more, depending on if there's no deal.
Because they've been in the market for 5 years now.
Yeah, so like the PS5 the PS5 and 3 and series are only going to go down, whereas like Nintendo's like we have new hardware. Like what do we do?
Yeah.
You know, like and that's it remains to be seen what their reaction's going to be and what this current U.S. administration is going to do in terms of exemption or not. Yeah. And so it could go very well. It could go very poorly.
It could go extremely poorly.
And it's kind of we were talking about over text like we don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like what can we do? Besides just wait and see and hope hope that these three video game developers and publishers really can make some sort of resolution to this situation, at least for them.
Well, again, because
everything else, who knows?
They go into effect on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
between now and Wednesday, we're going to probably hear something from Nintendo and or potentially Sony and Microsoft as well.
Yeah.
If something like 2019 comes along where they're like, oh yeah, we're going to make a deal here and the game industry will be fine.
Yeah.
And everything else is obviously going to go up. But at least for now,
again,
your game consoles and stuff, because like I think that's like entertainment, in my opinion, should always be something that's like cost efficiently like accessible, like films, TV, because like even when the world sucks, it's nice to be able to find a way to escape, and I think that this stuff should always be safe from that.
Another thing, like as Quentin Tarantino once said, so theaters. So for example, if you go to watch Broadway, it's expensive.
It should not be.
It's an experience.
But I also get it.
Where anybody should be able to go down to the movie theater, pay like
$5
under
or
$10 to go see a movie, even if it's a matinee. Should be able to go see a movie.
Yeah.
And gaming should not cost
as much as a PC.
Almost $1,000 for a console.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Like, because it's all PC gaming is a luxury.
And or it's one of those things you save up over time to get all the parts to be able to build one because the technology is always going to be advanced over consoles. Consoles are always supposed to be the easiest, simplest, and most efficient way to play a game on the cheap, so you can play some of these experiences, obviously at a bit of a caveat, where with less, performance and graphics and stuff like that. But at least you can plug it in, play it out of convenience, and then you should be able to do that. And I don't think that the game industry should be like so expensive people can't do it, because entertainment should be the escape from the daily grind of how much life sometimes sucks. Man.
I agree. It should be easy to have escapism, but on the positive side there, man. Every time there has been a thing that has jumped up in price, and then people have been kind of priced out of things in general. People that don't have a lot of money find ways to create art. In adversity. So what I predict is going to happen is if everything starts jumping so high in prices, the indie market is going to be the most viable option for people to get stuff, and it's bigger than it's ever been before.
And I think indie games are only going to...
you ain't going to get like a cheap Mario, but you're going to get, I don't know, at least a bunch of indie games like Balatro or... anything like Stardew Valley, Animal Well, Stardew Valley, things like that are
Signalis,
which are worth all the money that they make on them, and then as long as that keeps happening, it should be okay. I think. Just go PC, I guess.
I think indie games have been holding afloat the AAA industry a lot
for a long time,
and I think it's only going to get more noticeable if things continue to go the way they're going. But let us know what you guys think about everything and this whole situation, and where you think this might be going, whether it might go in a positive way, in a negative way, or whether we might see something like 2019 where it might still be fine regardless of everything else going on. I know it's just a really tough situation for a lot of places right now, and
I feel like Link in a barrel right now.
Link in a barrel, man, crawling and hiding, hoping that everything's gonna be all right.
We're like that meme where he's like, let go.
Just let go. Just press A to let go. But let us know what you guys think. Thanks for hearing us out and listening to our ramblings here on all the situation from this whole timeline and where it might be going, and we'll
update us when things turn out worse or better.
We'll see if things get even crazier. We'll probably make another one and update y'all on our thoughts and where everything's going. But for now, all we can do is kind of sit back, wait, and hope that things go better rather than worse. But
We'll have a drink at the Winchester and wait for this all to blow over.
Yeah, we got a pint down at the Winchester. Wait for this all to blow over. But yeah, I hope you guys all take care, and thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Peace.
Peace.